Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 13 of season 2 of Riverdale, The Telltale Heart. And this is another really solid episode of the series. My only real complaint is that it seemed to really be laying it on just a little too thick with the whole situation with Betty. But then again, this is meant to be an episode kind of showing that Betty is reacting with sort of the just abject horror that you would expect a normal person to react to, given the horrible situation that, there's a dead body in her house that her brother basically caused, that her mom is just itching to cover up and forget about. And it's just emotionally tearing Betty up inside. So, it's understandable that this is going to be focused on Betty and that it's going to be a rough ride, but it feels like there was just a little too much. But nonetheless, this was all really nicely executed. Again, the way Betty just can't let this go, and this being the complete opposite of her mother, who's just like, okay, well, the guy's body's gone. Let's just kind of carry on and go about my merry little business. And Chick, who just seems like completely freaky as hell, which is just wow. And it is interesting that she ultimately, lets Jughead in on this, and by extension FP. And I really like how they kind of pointed out that FP, you know, has some experience in this area, and that he doesn't want this to be the sort of thing that haunts other people that he cares about. I mean, it's a little disconcerting that he knows so much about how to get rid of a dead body, but, well, being such a big shot in the serpents, you probably learn how to do some interesting things. And it also kind of makes a nice showing of his connection to Alice, which of course is kind of a flip on the connection between Penelope and Hal. I love how they continue to show Cheryl wearing that spider brooch, and she's even out there practicing archery in some really extremely fashionable clothes that are really ill-suited to practicing archery. But I can't help but wonder if this is a little bit of a nod to the Afterlife with Archie series, which is the Archie zombie apocalypse story where Jason and Cheryl use bows as their weapons of choice. And her, of course, spotting Betty having this emotional freak out and thinking it's connected to her mom apparently being in love with Hal and wanting to have an affair with him. That was also kind of an interesting moment. That's one thing I really love about Cheryl is she has these moments where she seems like she's the most horrible person ever, and then she also has these moments where she, maybe for perhaps not the best reasons, does things that genuinely seem good. I mean, she does genuinely seem to be pretty want to help Betty here, or at least is genuinely concerned about Betty. So, as I said, I do like that. It's a nice way of showing that Cheryl is a very multifaceted and complicated person. One thing I really wasn't digging the whole thing with like Penelope saying like what I have going on with Hal is real. It's like, yeah, I don't think we've really seen enough of you two guys interacting for it to really feel that way. It just seems such an out of the blue kind of thing. One thing that wasn't particularly out of the blue was the whole situation with Agent Adams ultimately turning out to be working for Hermione. This is something that I kind of guessed, or working for Hermione or working for Hiram, and the whole thing secretly being a test of Archie's loyalty to the lodges. This is something I kind of had a feeling might be coming. Just because the way Adams was pushing this way too hard, and, as Archie pointed out, it's like, hey, should you really be approaching a minor for things like this? And no, absolutely, an FBI agent should not be doing this. I mean, they did kind of try and play it a little bit like he's, an overzealous agent who's breaking some rules, but, he would, if this was a legit thing, and he did actually get some evidence on Hiram, he would have to admit in court, yes, I basically co-opted a minor to go undercover and did not bother to inform his legal guardian of this, which, I mean, that's pushing Hollywood law even worse than Veronica Mars ever did. And boy, oh boy, as much as I love Veronica Mars, that show really pushed it. So, Agent Adams turning out to be an agent of Hermione is not a surprise. I do like that scene at the end with Archie up there by the cliff. And I love how they don't have to say anything. You can kind of tell that if Archie had not come clean with Hiram, he would probably have been taking a very short dive, a very quick dive off the edge of that cliff, which again kind of shows you that the lodges are not to be toyed with. And I love that it's Hermione that's doing this, which I think does a lot to sort of elevate her as somebody who cannot be underestimated either. I kind of like the idea that in a lot of ways maybe she's the one who sort of handles a lot of the dirty work for Hiram. She's the one that gives the orders that involve getting their hands dirty. I mean, not that I think that Hiram is above that, but you can kind of see that as a leader of an organization like that, having a little distance could be extremely beneficial to him. And just the idea that, you know, Archie has passed this test. I mean, it's good for his relationship with Veronica. This seems to be that her parents seem to have given him their blessing. But Archie has walked through a very dangerous door. And, you know, Hermione and Hiram going to jail seems to be like the only way that Archie is going to get out of this in any sort of reasonably intact condition. Yet if that happens, then there's no way that his relationship with Veronica, however things go down, does not ultimately end up getting massively torpedoed. So it's a really fascinating situation here, and I'm absolutely loving it. And yeah, that's kind of all I had to say about this episode. Just another really good episode of a really strong season. I'm digging it. So guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi, and also join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. Until next time, take care and have a good one.